Of course, I'm muted. Hello, everyone. Hi, Miranda. Hello, Mr. Pike. Hello, Captain. Hello, El Code. Okay, listen, this mommy thing, I have to tell you. So, YouTube has on the back end like an AI thing that you can ask about your channel. So, I was like, oh, I'll try it out. I was like, audit my channel. Tell me how I'm doing. What do I need to improve on? What can I keep? And it was telling me like all the good things. It's like, you've made exponential growth for the past year. And I was going to screenshot it and I forgot to. I'll have to do it again. But it said, your audience seems to connect closely with you, some even referring to you as mommy. And I died. I was like, oh my God, AI has no idea what's going on. So, anyways, that was my morning. It was very, very funny, whatever. So I was watching Swoop, a commentator here on the platform. She is wonderful. She's got 2 channels. She's got Swoop, where she does like these super deep dives. And then she does, hi, John, hello. And then she has this second channel where she does smaller stories about stuff that, that like, YouTube stuff or like stuff that's going viral. And she was talking about mommy influencers and the whole momfluencer thing with kids and all these things, like I hate it. I hate it. I think that if you make your kids the forefront of your content because you're not creative enough to do anything else, then that sucks. I love Swoop too. I think she's wonderful. So I was like, you know what can we talk about today? Because I always like to watch stuff with you. And also too, eventually I think I'd like to get like a Patreon or something to where we can watch things that like more copyrighted material and we can discuss it there, but we'll talk about that later. Because I was going to watch this thing on 48 hours. And then I was like, would my channel get struck for it? And I just want to be careful. And I think the answer is yes. So I just went with something else. And I was like, oh my God, I've never watched the sentencing of the human skid mark that is Ruby Franke. So that's what we're going to do today. I hope you are all doing well. And yeah, let's get into it. Oh, I can't see my timestamps. Of course I can't. Why would I be able to do that? Oh. Ugh. All right. Anyways, I wish there was like a button that I could press that would just so easily do my timestamps for me. That would just make me feel so much better. I maintained it to no matter how much time she got, she didn't get enough. I agree. I think Ruby Franke was a real piece of shit before she met Jodi Hildebrandt. And I think that sometimes we can meet people who can just skyrocket us into ultimate shitness. And what is it? Hi, only me. Shit attracts flies, period. I watched this guy named Skeleton. Listen, you can hate me all you want. I watched this guy named Skeleton on YouTube. He talks about like YouTube drama stuff. The way that he talks, he's like somebody that I used to hang out with in high school. I think he's fantastic and, whatever. And yeah, I agree. I think Jodi, but anyways, hold on. He said that shit attracts flies and that's what it is. Ruby's a sick individual. She hooked up, in my opinion, with Jodi Hildebrandt, and it allowed her to be her worst self. So with that being said, all right, now let's get into the video. 5 minutes in. Let's see. Mr. Pike, is there a way to like have it in OBS that I could just do like timestamp, or like an easier way than me typing this stuff in and then maybe go and do it later? Anyways. Jodi fed her something. Jodi fed her something, let me tell you. All right, let's go. Here we go.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to District Court. We're here for sentencing in the matter of State of Utah versus Ruby Franke. Ms. Franke is here with Mr. Windward. Mr. Clark and Mr. Sham are here for the State of Utah, and we are ready to proceed with sentencing.
We are. Yes, Your Honor.
Counsel, the terms of the sentence were agreed to as part of the plea agreement, correct?
That is correct.
There is a pre-sentence investigation report in the matter. I have
Now, we all know how court works, right? Like a lot of these people go in and they're like not guilty. And then she was, if we've listened to her jail calls before and she's like, I'm not guilty of what they say I'm guilty of, whatever. And then she comes out and she had pled guilty to the 4 counts. And the reason for that is probably, I think, because she got a more lenient sentence because that, oh, that's interesting. There is some reason that my app is not showing not the names, but proper YouTube handle complete with numbers. Hold on. I see Eljagad 3618. You're right. I am seeing numbers. Interesting. Obviously she got some leniency. I could look into what that was. I don't know how it all changed when she pled guilty.
reviewed that. Everyone has seen it.
Yes.
What about restitution, counsel, before we move on with other matters?
We'd like to leave that open at this time, Your Honor. I can get into that. I might be more comfortable if we approach to get into that.
Is there an agreement that restitution, that we reserve that and for what period of time?
8 months is what we're anticipating. But I haven't talked to...
Oh, I'm sorry. I said pled to 4. Is pleading guilty to 6 counts of child abuse. That's nice.
To the defendant's counsel about that.
We haven't discussed that, Your Honor.
Is there any objection?
No.
All right. What's the state's position regarding sentencing?
Your Honor, the state... I'll stand up. The state respectfully requests that the court sentence Ms. Franke to consecutive prison terms for each of the 4 counts of aggravated child abuse. This sentence was agreed to by Ms. Franke in her plea agreement and is also recommended by adult probation and parole. She committed horrible acts of child abuse.
In 2015, launched 8 Passengers YouTube channel with her husband, Kevin, had 2.5 million subscribers at one time. I mean, she was making, I believe in the documentary, The Devil Within the Family, she was making, at one point, like $100,000 a month off this channel. Yeah, anything over 1 case of child abuse is too much. Anything over 1. I completely agree.
From May to August in 2023, Ms. Franke and her business partner held her 2 children, ages 9 and 11, turning 12, in a concentration camp-like setting. The children were regularly denied food, water, beds to sleep in, and...
Correction. Thank you, Eljagad. Anything over 0. Anything over 0. Yes. That makes much more sense instead of like anything over 1. So like 1's okay. No, 0 is okay. 0 is an okay number. 0 child abuse is a great number. We aspire for it. Thank you. Thank you.
Virtually all forms of entertainment. They were isolated from others and were hidden when people came to visit the house where the children and the defendants were staying.
The other thing that you have to remember, too, is that when the police came in here, right, and these kids are just living in this squalor and being tied up and chained up and not fed and being hidden in a basement, Jodi Hildebrandt is running an Airbnb in this space. She is imagine you're just like, oh my God, I want to go to this beautiful house and be in it. And then there's just 2 children being horrifically abused right underneath your feet.
The children were forced to do physical tasks like carrying loaded boxes up and down stairs and wall sits or sitting against a wall without a chair or a stool for hours at a time. They were also forced to do manual labor outdoors in the extreme summer heat, at times without shoes or socks. They were forced to stand outside on a cement patio in the summer heat for hours and even days at a time. They were beaten, and the 12-year-old was regularly bound hand and foot after he attempted to run away in mid-July. Both children had extensive physical injuries from the abuse that required hospitalization when they were found. And the injuries from the binding to the 12-year-old are particularly awful. In addition to physical abuse, the children were emotionally abused to the extent that each believed, to some degree, that they deserved what was being done to them.
Let's also talk about their bindings. So their bindings in their wrists and their ankles were so deep that you could see their tendons. The paramedics that came to rescue these children had said they've never seen anything like this. They had to step away from the vehicle because grown men, paramedics who see just regular devastation, had to step away because they were sobbing. That's how bad of a shape these kids were in.
Had the older of the children not had the courage to run away and ask a neighbor to call the police, heaven only knows how much longer he could have survived in that situation. After being caught, Ms. Franke has shown considerable remorse, as evidenced by agreeing to serve consecutive prison terms and being willing to cooperate with the state against Ms. Hildebrandt.
Of course. Of course. And it's funny because when she was in jail, she was singing Jodi's praises. And now they're like, hey, you're going to jail for fucking ever. And she's like, Jodi did it. I'll help you. I'll help you.
And the severity of the abuse she inflicted, consecutive terms are appropriate in this case. As the court's
All right, we need to slip in a commercial break, but we're going to pick it up right where we left off.
Right. And we're hearing consecutive is what she agreed to, so it seems like the judge is going to go along with that plea agreement, but what will we hear from Jodi Hildebrandt? That's next.
I have to tell you, John, and this, I love you to death, but this right here proves to me that you don't have children, because sometimes you just have to zone out because your kids are just having it in the middle of a Target, and you're like, listen, I got to get some fucking milk and some goddamn eggs, or somebody's not going to make it out of here alive. Like, sometimes just to be useless is to just, you just got to be useless. Because if I do use, I'm going to use these hands. Oh, boy.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. Thanks so much. Arrested.
It's in the second-degree murder charges.
What is this? No.
Franke and her mom, MOMFLUENCER Ruby Franke, and her business partner, Jodi Hildebrandt. Franke and Hildebrandt admitted to 4 counts of child abuse, and each of those counts carries a sentence of up to 15 years. They are in front of a judge today. Under court order, we can't show this live, but we've just gotten clearance to show you Ruby Franke's sentencing. So let's get you right back into court where we left off. All right. We've got a bit of a technical difficulty.
All
so
right.
hold for just a moment.
We're going to hold off and talk about what we're listening for here. The key is that under Utah law, 1 to 50 have
Come on.
So we Frank benefit.
Ms. Franke and her business partner held her 2 children, ages 9 and 11, turning 12, in a concentration camp-like setting. And Bert came to visit to do physical sitting. They were also forced to do bad.
We were just here.
Had the older of the children not had the courage to run away, force this should be imposed. Those factors are the gravity and circumstances of the offense,
Hi,
the number
Grace.
of victims, and the history, character, and rehabilitative needs of the defendant.
Yes, critical, exactly.
As agreed to in the plea agreement and as recommended by adult probation and parole, consecutive sentences are appropriate. This is due to the severity of the abuse to both victims. It could be argued that Ms. Franke should receive a lesser sentence than Ms. Hildebrandt.
I understand that divorce lawyers have to be a thing, right? Everybody needs a divorce lawyer. I actually talked to my friend. So I've been begging my friend to come on this podcast. Not only is she a family law attorney, but she's also a law professor. And she's so funny. I love her so much. But I'm like, you have to come on the stream with me sometimes to just kind of explain what's going on. And I've told her time and time again, I'm like, I could never be a defense lawyer. Because, like, if I got the case of, or like if I was a public defense attorney and I got the case of Ruby Franke, I wouldn't have it in me. I'd have to bomb it so bad. I'm not protecting this. This is insane. Yeah, I could never be a juror on a child abuse case either. Death. I can't, like, bye. Bye. As my son says when he doesn't want to talk to you or do something, bye. Bye.
because of her remorse and willingness to cooperate with the state. However, the Board of Pardons and Parole will have broad latitude and will be able to take those facts into account when it determines how long each of the co-defendants will remain incarcerated. In conclusion, we respectfully request that the court go along with what was agreed to in the plea agreement and is recommended by probation and parole and impose consecutive sentences.
Thank you. Anything else from the state?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Windward?
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning. In my few comments this morning, and in the comments my client wishes to make in a few minutes, we are not suggesting, nor are we asking that the court deviate from the stipulated sentence contained in the written plea agreement. I want the court to know that through introspection and reflection, Ruby Franke has become a serious student of her own actions. In the very early days of my involvement with Ruby, she was somewhat defensive, and she was still very much indoctrinated into a philosophy that was destructive. Fortunately, Ruby came to the stark realization of the errors in her thinking.
I love that they're like, she was indoctrinated. She showed abusive tendencies on camera before Jodi Hildebrandt came into the picture. If you listen to Sherry Franke, Ruby Franke was quite abusive before they even started like 8 passengers. So no, indoctrinated. One of the more interesting answers I heard from a defense lawyer about their job was how they can live with themselves when it comes to defending criminals, was something to the effect of, when the client is innocent, their job is to make sure they did not wind up in jail, I assume. When the client is guilty, their job is to make sure the prosecution doesn't fuck up. Well, I mean, I hope so.
Patterns and subsequent actions. To say that she was horrified by this realization would be to put it mildly. I have marveled at how quickly Ruby abandoned her defensive stance and moved toward her total acceptance of her actions and to her sentence today.
Also, for people who have been indoctrinated and there's been coercive control and there's been brainwashing and all of these things, they don't just snap out of it. Again, he's like, she just came to the realization. She did? She just woke up one day and was like, oh, man. I mean, she was to the point that she was journaling it and like reveling in the fact that she was abusing her son and her daughter. And then all of a sudden, one day she wakes up and she's like, oh, shit. Shouldn't have done that.
So far, she has used her time in jail to unwrap the layers upon layers of deceit and deception foisted upon her over the last 4 years by an unscrupulous individual. Ruby realizes that she still has work to do in shedding those thinking errors and to reestablish a better and correct pattern of thinking and behavior. Ruby realizes that changing her thinking, reestablishing relationships, and healing are not simple or easy tasks. However, she is committed to doing that work. I would like the court to know that Ruby Franke is a delightful, respectful, and responsible person. She is open to feedback and addressing the consequences of her actions head on, and now ready to address your honor and accept your judgment. Thank you, Judge Walton.
Thank you. Ms. Franke has a statement she'd like to make.
She does.
Here we go. Actually, let me put a timestamp on this. Ruby speaks, so people can get to this point. 20 minutes. I have a Fairlife shake. It is pretty good. I like them.
Judge Wall.
You don't have to bend down.
Okay, thank you. I would like to make a statement without any intent to change my stipulated sentence. For the past 4 years, I've chosen to follow counsel and guidance that has led me into a dark delusion.
Oh, here we go. Dark passengers, dark delusions, dark whatever. What did she call them? oh, there was light and then there was dark. I forgot what she called him. But, you know, it's just she uses all these words still.
Recorded version of reality went largely unchecked, as I would isolate from anyone who challenged me. I was led to believe that this world was an evil place.
No. I believed. That's the thing. Like, if I was sitting as a judge and she would be like, I was led to believe. No, bitch, you believed. You believed. You cannot pass the buck on to Jodi Hildebrandt. You either take responsibility or don't. Immediately, she's like, okay, so like I'm here, but somebody else got me here, so sorry.
Cops who control, hospitals that injure, government agencies that brainwash, church leaders who lie and lust, husbands who refuse to protect, and children who need abused. My choice to believe and behave this paranoia culminated into criminal activity for which I stand before you today ready to take accountability. Jodi Hildebrandt was never my business partner, nor was I ever employed by her. I have never received wages from her or connections. Jodi was employed as my son's counselor in 2019, and in 2020 I paid her to be my mentor.
When was she your lover? Can we know that? I want the tea on that. So you said she possessed the demon. So she thought that, like, yeah, there were demons in her children, and essentially she was going to beat the demon out of her children. And we've read her journals on live stream before. I don't buy any of it. I don't.
It is important to me to demonstrate my remorse and regret without blame.
It's important to me to talk about my remorse and regret without blame. And up until this point, she's like, I was led down a dark path. I was made to believe. Bitch, what?
I take full accountability for my choices, and it is my preference that I serve a prison sentence.
Hi, Jumping Fox.
Thank you to the officers in Santa Clara and the Ivan City Police. Nick Hellman, Brian Palufo, Cy Pickuvit, Mike Pandoyo in Tober, John Ward, D. Lewis, and Chief Flowers. You were the angels who came and saved my children. I especially want to thank Detective Jay Bate. She plucked me out of a situation I didn't know how to get out of. And the moment she had...
And also, I didn't know how to get out of. You enjoyed it. You wrote about how you were abusing these kids and about how you took pleasure in it. I could never be a judge.
Left me was the moment I gained my freedom. You were not the controlling ones.
I gained my freedom. I gained my freedom. The fact that, like, people like this get an opportunity. Yes, this is the fox that gives us the clap. The fact that people like this get an opportunity to speak. Ugh.
Thank you to the medical staff at Intermountain Hospital. Your skill, tenderness, and professionalism helped heal my children. Jodi and I inflicted the injuries, not the hospital. Thank you to DCFS, the Children's Justice Center, Judge Basil, and other key adults. You've gathered my children under your wing and offered them love, compassion, encouragement. You were not the ones who were doing the brainwashing. Thank you to my bishop.
I fucking hate this bitch. You were not the ones doing the brainwashing. I love how she's like, oh, I want to talk about my remorse and my regret without guilt. And here we are inside of that paragraph now, and she's placing guilt. You're not the one who did the brainwashing. Wasn't you. But she's insinuating that it was, in fact, someone else, that there was someone else who was doing brainwashing.
Bishop Tom Hawks and my state president, Jim Nelson, for reminding me.
Yes, everything that she is saying is self-serving. Everything.
The Lord's love for the lost. So much pain and suffering would have been avoided had I followed and heeded your counsel. I was the one who was deceived, not you. Thank you to the Washington County prosecutor.
I was the one who was deceived. Also, she's like, I'm sorry to him, had I followed your counsel, a lot would have been like spared. Had you followed his counsel after the fucking police came? How about had I not done any of this?
Prosecutor's office, Ryan Sham, the legal assistants and discovery clerks. Eric Clark, you exemplified to me how justice and mercy are meant to coexist. My charges are just. They offer safety to my family, accountability to the public, and they did show mercy to me. Thank you to my attorney, Lamar Windward, and his staff. I would not be where I am today without them. Thank you to Randy Kester for your limitless energy in healing my family. My dear friends, Pam and Roy, I'm so sorry for letting you down. Because of your association with me, your innocence was called into question.
Your innocence? If Pam is who I think it is, they went to pick up one of her other daughters because that kid was over at Pam's house cleaning it top to bottom. Because her friends used her kids as maids. Your innocence was called into question. Yeah. Okay. Your compliance, maybe? Your, what's the word? I can't imagine if somebody, I don't know. If somebody was like, my kid's going to come clean your house, I'd be okay with it. I'd be like, what's the purpose? No, if your kid's like doing some fucked up shit and they got to get punished, come clean this bitch. Like, I'll help you out. But like, not as a maid. I remember there was a kid that egged my mom's car, and my mom went over to his house, and his mom was like, you're going to clean that fucking car. Like, get a bucket.
My mother-in-law, father-in-law, Kevin's family, my cousins, aunts, uncles, nieces, nephews, and neighbors, you all saw the warning signs long before I did, and you did what you could. You wanted to help, but I pushed you away. My mother...
Yeah, I like that she's turning this into a Grammy acceptance speech. I wish they had playoff music. I really do.
Father, I have been utterly wretched to you. You have offered me unconditional love, and for that I have offered you unconditional contempt. My siblings and their spouses, because of my decision to roll around in a pigsty, I have dragged your families through the mud in public. Yeah.
Also, she's apologizing to her siblings who are also family vloggers, who have their kids front and center in their vlogs. And her sister, I believe her name is Bonnie, came out. We can watch her video after she came out when this happened to Ruby. And she's like, yeah, we're not going to change anything. We're just still going to family vlog. Even though she understands like the ramifications of what happens to these children. And even though Sherry has had conversations with them of what that feels like, Bonnie's like, no, thanks. I'm just going to keep doing it. Maybe we'll watch Bonnie's video next.
When I desired to return as the prodigal sister, unlike the prodigal's brother in the Bible, you synced step with my parents and ran out to greet me. Your capacity to love is unprecedented. Kevin, my husband of more than 23 years.
Yes.
You were the love of my life.
Kevin, you were the love of my life, which is why I asked you to move out and never talk to me or the children ever again.
So sorry to leave to you to finish. what we both started together. The ending of our marriage is a tragedy. And it all wrapped around my heart. And now I'll never be able to undo. To my babies, my 6 little chicks.
My 6 little chicks.
You were part of me. I was the mama duck who was consistently leading you to safety.
Really? You were leading them to safety? Was that safety inside of a volcano filled with lava? Because the fuck?
I can see now. Over the past 4 years, I was in a deep undercurrent that led us to danger. I would never venture into darkness knowingly. I was so disoriented that I believed dark was light and light was wrong.
I was so disoriented. But now I'm back. No need to worry, friends. No need to worry.
I would do anything in this world for you.
I would do anything in this world for you except take you to a hospital, give you food, let you sleep in a bed, let you sleep at all because sometimes she would keep them awake, give you shoes to go out into the desert. When you cried from carrying boxes up and down stairs, make you stop. You know, when you would soil yourselves, do anything about that. I would do anything for you except anything that you need.
To sacrifice all for you was masterfully manipulated into something very ugly. I took from you all that was soft and safe and good. I took from you your mother. How terrifying this must have been for you. I'm still crying. You're hurting the tender souls.
Yeah, look at that. I would do anything for you. And over here, her son had duct tape on his legs covering open wounds. And those open wounds were filled with honey and cayenne and duct tape. I would be in the back of this courtroom and just be like, shut the fuck up. Like, I could never. Oh, you know what? And it's so funny because I know how the story ends and it still pisses me off.
You're so precious to me. I'm sorry. My choice to live in fear of the world has created a great vulnerability and a blind spot for me, where I have broken hearts and I've caused people to suffer and I have betrayed sacred trust. Watching my community respond to my charges with justice and mercy and grace and love is all the evidence to me how wrong I've been. This world is full of really good people.
Yeah, I wish they focused on her face because I agree with this. I wonder if there are tears.
And finally, I'm sorry for twisting God's word and distorting his doctrines. My greatest desire is to stand in his court someday spotless and confident.
Good luck, bitch. Good luck. Go. What I wouldn't give to be standing there at the pearly gates right next to Peter as he's got his little earpiece and clipboard and he's like, oh, who's next? Who's next? What is this? Ruby Frank? Ruby Franke, next, come on down. And she walks down to the gates and she's like, hi, I'm Ruby Franke. And he's like, okay, no problem. Let me take a look at your resume to get into heaven here. And just opens it and it just like goes into smoke. He's like, ah, fuck. You ain't getting in, bitch. You ain't getting in. You do this to God's most vulnerable and you're like, I wish to stand in his presence. No way.
Judge Walton, I know that standing before you today is a necessary step towards that end. Thank you to you and your staff for facilitating my opportunity to take accountability and to answer.
Thank you for you guys, for me. Thank you for me. Thanks for me. Not thank you for stepping in so that my kids could fucking not die.
For my charges, I am humbled and willing to serve a prison sentence as long as it takes to continue unraveling all of the disinformation I have believed and bought, swallowed, and acted out, and for my family to heal and for the community to heal. And I understand this is going to take time. I'm committed to continuing my learning until all of my toxic layers are shed, and I am ready to re-enter as a contributing member of our beautiful society.
I hope that day is never. Re-entering as a member of society? No, bitch.
Thank you, Judge Walton.
I don't know where all these ads are coming from. I'm so sorry.
Anything else, Ms.
Ruby, frankly, in her own, Frankie, in her own words there,
Ruby, frankly, is a bitch. Ruby, frankly, I don't give a fuck. That's what it is.
See,
All right.
Tonight, on closing with
Give me
jury
more.
to convict.
Give me
seen
more.
today
These senators told
Franke,
Here we
the
go.
sentence will be that Ms. Franke serve 4 counts, 1 to 15-year sentences based on her convictions for 4 counts of aggravated child abuse. Again, they will be served consecutively pursuant to the parties' agreement and the applicable statute. Under the applicable statute, the court finds that that consecutive sentences are appropriate. Ms. Franke, the last thing I do need to tell you is that you have only 30 days to file or to perfect an appeal of any errors of the
I want to know, I'm going to look into that if she has an appeal, because if she does, it's like, I will serve all the time. Appeal. Like, what the fuck?
court by
Okay, so Ruby Plinko, she was given 4 separate terms, each term ranging 1 to 15 years. That's what we just saw right now. Because of Utah law, even though the individual terms could add up to as many as 60 years, the maximum total years she can serve is capped at 30. And how old is she now? Let's see. Ruby Franke has been sentenced to 4 consecutive terms of 1 to 15 years each for child abuse, which means she must serve all 4 sentences, one after another. Even so, under Utah law, the absolute maximum she can serve for these kinds of consecutive felony terms is 30 years, and the absolute minimum is about 40 years. The exact time will be set by state parole officials. What do we know now? Right. I think, I think this is a easy sentence. Oh, and I think Kevin Franke has filed for divorce and is dating. How nice. How nice he gets 0 punishment. Let me tell you, if Kevin Franke has 0 haters, I'm dead. Ugh. All right, so we don't know. We don't know yet how long she'll be serving. How long?
filing a written notice of appeal with the clerk of the court. If you don't do that within 30 days, you will lose your right.
Thank you. He's allowed to be near kids again. Yeah. He allowed this shit before she went. There was shit that was allowed in that house before she got to all the terrible shit. Moonlight, I have a whole video on Kevin Franke and how much he sucks if you want to go watch it. Okay, so her exact release date will be determined later by the Utah Board of Pardons and Parole. All right, so how old is she? No. 43. So if the most she can serve up to is 30 years, she'll be 73 when she gets out. That's still too much of a life when she gets out.
Right to appeal. You also have the right to the assistance of an attorney on appeal and to have one appointed if you cannot afford to hire your own. Restitution, as agreed by the parties, will remain open for a period of 8 months. Any of the parties can bring that matter back before the court within that period of time. Anything else?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you.
She has not appealed. So, all right, here's all this. Here's some commentary. Oh, here's Jodi. This fuckhead. All right, let's go to, let's see, 4137. Jodi Hildebrandt.
Court recalls the matter of State of Utah versus Hildebrandt, case 231501763. Counsel are present. Ms. Hildebrandt is present. Counsel, there is a pre-sentence investigation report. I have read it. Everyone has seen and reviewed that.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor. Again, the sentence was stipulated.
I love this. Kevin's defense. Well, I'm just a sperm donor trad dad that didn't know nothing because looking at your child once every few months is woman's work. Yeah, and especially when he knew that his children were home alone because Ruby was leaving and people were like, hey, you got some kids at home alone? Like, do you want to come help them? And he's like, don't answer the phone. Just like launches it behind the couch. Dude, this guy sucks.
The time of the plea agreement, what record do we need to make other than going forward with sentencing?
Your Honor, it would be repetitive. I have the same statement just with the last few paragraphs where I was differentiating between Ms. Franke and Ms. Hildebrandt.
Okay, let's talk about housekeeping matters first. What about restitution?
And we've stipulated to keep that open for 8 months.
It is appropriate, Your Honor, since we don't have any evidence with respect to restitution, and that's because it is still in the process of being gathered by the county attorney's office. It's completely appropriate for the court to make no orders with respect to restitution other than to reserve all issues regarding restitution, and we have no issue with the eight-month time frame.
And the injunction that was previously issued by the court will remain in effect?
It will.
At least until that time?
It will remain in effect until further order of this court.
All right. Mr. Clark?
Thanks, Your Honor. The state of Utah respectfully requests that the court sentence Ms. Hildebrandt to consecutive...
Also, we're going to watch this, but I just want to let you guys know that Jodi Hildebrandt publicly said she avoided trial because she didn't want the children to relive the trauma. But in a later post-conviction filing, she claims her lawyer was ineffective and that her plea deal was unlawful, meaning she's now challenging her legal representation even though she accepted the plea. So... there's that. Yeah, I'll do a Thursday video. It's a Halloween one. Another Halloween one.
Prison terms for each of the 4 counts of aggravated child abuse to which she has pleaded guilty. The sentence was agreed to her in her plea agreement and is also...
And he asks her, they ask you, do you understand? Do you understand everything that you're agreeing to right now? And she's like, yeah. And then it's like, wait, no, I didn't get it.
Recommended by adult probation and parole. Ms. Hildebrandt committed awful acts of child abuse. From May to August 2023, she and her business partner held 2 children, ages 9 and 11, turning 12, in a concentration camp-like setting in her house in Ivan City. The children were regularly denied food, water, beds to sleep in, and virtually all forms of entertainment. They were isolated from others and were hidden when people came to visit the house. They were forced to do physical tasks, like carrying loaded boxes up and down
Yeah, while she was running an Airbnb, which is wild.
stairs and doing wall sits or sitting against a wall without assistance of a chair or stool for hours at a time. They were forced to do manual labor outdoors in the extreme summer heat, often without shoes or socks. And they were also forced to stand outside on a cement patio in the summer heat for hours and even days. They were beaten, and the 12-year-old was regularly bound hand and foot after he attempted to run away in mid-July. Both children had extensive physical injuries from the abuse that required hospitalization to treat. The injuries from the binding are particularly bad. In addition to the physical abuse, the children were emotionally abused. They each believed to some degree that they deserved what was being done to them. Had the older of the two children not had the courage to run away and ask a neighbor to call the police, heaven only knows how much longer he could have survived. After being caught, Ms. Hildebrandt has shown little to no remorse for her actions. In telephone conversations that will be provided in full to the Board of Pardons and Parole, and which she knew to be recorded, she's repeatedly claimed that she is the victim and the children are the perpetrators. She's gone so far as to say that the things said in this proceeding and covered by the media today will be full of lies. The combination of three factors make Ms. Hildebrandt a significant threat to the community. First, the severity of the abuse she caused to be inflicted on young children. Second, her attitude that everything she did was justified and that she is being wrongfully imprisoned. And third, her training as a therapist and aptitude for using online resources to convince others to follow her guidance. Utah Code Section 76-3401 lays out three factors the court should consider in determining whether to impose concurrent or consecutive sentences. The first is the gravity and circumstances of the offense. The second is the number of victims, and the third is the history, character, and rehabilitative need of the defendant. As agreed to in the plea agreement and as recommended by Adult Probation and Parole, consecutive sentences are appropriate here. This is due to the severity of the abuse to the two victims and the extreme need for Ms. Hildebrandt to be rehabilitated so that she no longer will present a risk to the community. The state respectfully requests that she be sentenced to 4 consecutive terms.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Mr. Terry?
Thank you, Your Honor. I will be brief. As is always the case in cases that come before courts, there are two sides to every case. And even in a case like this, that remains the case. There are many allegations regarding these two individuals, Ms. Franke and my client, Ms. Hildebrandt. The only facts in this case that are adjudicated facts are those set forth in the plea agreement that she entered into freely and knowingly and voluntarily. Those facts, those adjudicated facts, are significant. They certainly provide a basis for the pleas and provide a basis for the stipulated sentence in this case. My experience with Ms. Hildebrandt is that she is not the person that she has been portrayed to be.
Oh, tell me more. Tell me more how she's not the person she's portrayed to be.
But having said that, she has accepted responsibility in this case.
You're not going to give me anything else? She's not the person that she's been portrayed to be, but I'll give you nothing on that.
She has entered into this plea agreement with a stipulated sentence of 4 consecutive sentences. She did that at the time she entered into the plea agreement, knowing that that would be the court's order. She is before the court today, knowing that that will be the court's order, and she fully accepts that. She accepts responsibility and she accepts the consequences for it.
She's not the person that she says that she's been made out to be. Actually, she's worse.
Her conduct. And we will submit it to the court on the stipulated agreement.
Mr. Terry, you suggested that there are two sides to every case. I generally agree with you.
Moonlight.
Ms. Hildebrandt didn't make a statement to AP&P in the course of the pre-sentence investigation report.
That's terrible.
Why did she not make a statement?
She wanted to reserve her right to make a statement before the court today, and she has a brief statement that she wants to read, Your Honor.
Can't wait to hear it.
And
Ms. Hildebrandt? Go ahead.
I sincerely love these children.
Ah! I sincerely love these children. Let me put this back in normal. That's how she's going to start it. That's how you're going to start it.
Go ahead.
I sincerely love these children. I desire for them to heal physically and emotionally.
The fact that you say, I sincerely love these children and have a desire for them to heal physically from wounds you literally fucking caused, miss me, girl.
One of the reasons I did
I literally love these children. I'm sold. Critical, welcome back.
not go to trial, so I did not want them to emotionally relive the experience, which would have been detrimental to them.
So you admit that you did all these things, and then she comes out later and she's like, never mind.
My hope and prayer is that they will heal and move forward to have beautiful lives. I am willing to submit to what the state feels would be an appropriate amount of time served to make retribution as an outcome.
And in answer to your question, Your Honor, I knew that whatever she might say to the author of the pre-sentence report would probably sound hollow and self-serving, and perhaps it does today. But I know that my client, in the statement that she makes to the court today, that statement is absolutely sincere.
Does Ms. Hildebrandt recognize that it's
Boo!
her behavior that caused the harm to the children that she's referred to in her statement?
Your Honor, she recognizes that she was, along with Ms. Franke, that she made decisions with respect to the discipline of those children that were wrong.
I'm sorry. The discipline? I've had children for 10 years now. Discipline looks very different in my household. Discipline is perhaps a speaking to. I'm not going to lie. I yell in this house. I'm like, God! Like, we are yellers. This is a loud house. But discipline is not tying them up, is not taking away their needs like food and beds and sleep. This is not discipline. This is abuse. This is assault. This is everything under whatever that category is way over there. Discipline is, hey, if you do something like that again, I'm going to have to start taking something away and there's going to be consequences. That's discipline. And you have to stay consistent with said discipline when it comes to children. Yeah, this is not discipline.
Harm to those children. She fully recognizes that and accepts responsibility for that.
Yeah, until she appeals it.
All right. Anything else?
The judge. Right.
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Hildebrandt, this circumstance is tragic. It's largely, of course, of your making. By any measure, your conduct in this case was disastrous for these children. Adults are supposed to protect children.
Hell yeah, Judge.
Adults with specialized training in particular are supposed to protect children. You did.
Why not the mother? Why didn't you give the same speech, though, to Ruby? She's also required to protect her children.
Didn't do that in this case. In this case, you terrorized children, and the results have been tragic. It's what happened to these children and your philosophy in dealing with them, frankly, seems detached from reality and any objective standard of decency or even common sense. And the court finds that it is appropriate that you serve a prison sentence. The court finds under the statute, Utah Code 76-3-401, that given the gravity and circumstances of the offenses, the number of victims, and the history and character and needs of the defendant, that consecutive sentences are appropriate. The court imposes 4 1 to 15-year sentences to be, again, served consecutively for each of the 4 counts of aggravated child abuse. The last thing I do need to tell you is that you only have 30 days to file or perfect an appeal of any error of the court by filing a written notice of appeal with the clerk of the court. If you don't do that, you will lose your right to appeal. That has to be filed in writing and again within 30 days. You also have the right to the assistance of an attorney and to have an attorney appointed if you cannot afford to hire your own. Thank you. We're in recess.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thanks, Your Honor.
Night and day reactions from these co-defendants. Frankie was...
Frankly, Okay, so she gets the same thing. Between 4 years up to 30 years in prison. And he didn't give the same speech to Ruby, which is interesting. That's interesting to me. Okay, so the next thing we're going to watch is Bonnie Franke's video about her sister. And then we could watch Kevin and Chad, which we'll never say anything terrible about Chad Franke. But then we'll watch Kevin Franke's reaction to, wait, is this the one? No, this isn't the one. I mean, we will watch this one, but where's the one? It's of her. It's sitting, hold on. She's sitting in front of a white wall. Let's see, Bonnie Franke, because there's one where she speaks. Did she delete it? Let's see, Bonnie Helene and Ruby Franke. Let's see. She also does my thoughts on Sherry Franke's book. We could watch that. Let me see. I'll go to her channel. What does she have? She has 1.39 million subscribers, and her children are at the forefront of her video. How nice, Bonnie. I see you have no actual creative talents except for putting your children first to get views. That's nice of you. Okay, so she deleted the video that I'm looking for. Interesting. Okay, so let's look at, maybe we can find somebody who has skipped over what? The Timu? I gave you the slow blink. Let's see. Yeah, I think she deleted it. Hold on. Bonnie Helene, Ruby Franke. Let me see. There's one video in particular that I am looking for. Where is it? All right. Well, we'll watch this other one where she stands on her sister. And we shall see. Is this it? No, that's the one about her. Okay. Is it this one? Nope. Okay. Anyway, she still has a family vlog channel. We can look at it right now. Let's see. I don't want to spend too much time on this because I don't want to, what's the word? Exploit her children as she does. She's got 1.3 million subscribers. Her videos include bangers like, we have a walkway in front of our super rich house that we made off the backs of our children. Videos with her kids in the thumbnails. High school homecoming week. Homecoming 2025, putting my children's personal memories online. I love that for you. That's great. Okay, whatever. I don't care.
I don't want to see you fish again. The fishing is getting excessive. I know. Fishing is something that I can film that I don't have to show my face a lot. Fishing is something that I can show that is a distraction for my kids, for myself. Fishing, I don't have to talk about how I'm feeling or anything, and it takes me out of my current reality. Fishing is something that I don't have to narrate. So I know, I agree with you. Why are you deleting comments? We are not stupid. We know you're deleting comments. You're not hiding anything from anyone. If you weren't guilty, you wouldn't be deleting comments. You know we're right, and that's why you are. I'm deleting comments because you teach people how to treat you. And the comments...
Hi.
I love when people are like, why do you delete comments? Because it's my fucking channel and I do what I want. Like that just never makes me like, I don't know. I'm never like, I don't know. That doesn't bother me when people delete comments. Is that Tanisha? Shut up. You guys. Tanisha. Is that her? Show me the name tag. What does the name tag say? Oh, it says Rumi. That looks like Tanisha from Bad Girls Club. Okay.
Our speculation, the comments are people not having all of the information, and so naturally they fill in the gaps. And I've done that myself. When I don't have all the answers, my mind tries to fill in all the gaps, and all you do is create nonsense. And the reason I understand this is because I know you're trying to make sense of something that doesn't make sense. You're trying to figure out how something so horrible could happen when it should never have happened in the first place. So I understand why people are doing the things that they're doing. I'm deleting comments because you don't get to treat me the way you're treating me in the comments. It's unfathomable to me to berate someone for their religion. I wouldn't ever think of doing that. We were driving down the street.
Okay, I can't with this. This has nothing to do with what we're talking about. Okay, let me look. There is a video. So she did delete it. We might have to watch it. So Bonnie speaks. Bonnie, I am not my sister. And maybe somebody else re-uploaded it. So I wonder if conspiracy. Let's see. Is this? No, this is not. This is not the one. She's sitting in front of a white wall. It looks like I am not my sister. 2 years ago? No. God bless it. Where are the people who re-upload these videos when I need them? Yeah, I'm sure somebody saved them and re-uploaded. Where is it? Where is it? I need to know. Down the rabbit hole. Is this what I need? No. Oh, bummer. I don't want to take up too much of somebody's commentary. Oh, damn. Yeah, she deleted that shit. I wonder if she's striking channels, because where is it? Let me see. No, there's just this one. There's that one. All right. I'm not going to be able to find it. If I can find it with somebody's commentary, Bonnie Franke, or just Bonnie Holeen. I am not my sister. If I can find it, I will put it on or in the Discord, and then we'll just have to move on. Okay, so this is her thoughts.
Spoiler alert.
This is her thoughts on the book, The House of My Mother, written by Sherry Franke, who is the daughter of Ruby Franke, the oldest daughter.
We made it to the Keys, but I want to interrupt that for a minute because my niece Sherry just released her new book, and I really wanted to share my thoughts on it. This time last year, we were driving into the Keys as a lot of the horror of the Franke family was being unraveled nationally, and it was a
Yes,
very
that is me.
hopeless feeling. This time, as we were driving into the Keys, I had my headphones in. I was listening to Sherry's book while the rest of my family listened to the Wicked soundtrack and all the other soundtracks that you can think of. And it had a much different feel to it. It felt much more hopeful. I was very unsure how I was going to feel as I was reading her book, and it was a hard read. It was terrible reliving.
Hey, you know what would have been cool if maybe you just like called her and talked to her instead of reading her book. I mean, maybe she did, but that's an idea.
Terrible learning. It was, I just felt so bad for her as I was reading the book, but I also was so incredibly proud of her.
T-Mobile's Guide to Moving
God
Day.
bless it. I'm trying to find this video. I'm going to get it. Wait. Come on, Reddit. Damn it. This video is private. Oh, I'll find it. With a crazy look. I'm just a bad pauser. All right, hold on. I know. Wait.
The book is phenomenal. It is so well written. I couldn't be more proud of her if I tried. For her to say that she has not had a voice, that she has not been able to say how she thinks, how she feels, and to never be heard. And then to hear her writing this book, it was very empowering, and I was so grateful that she now feels that she has a voice and a platform and a place to say how she feels. And I hope everybody reads it and supports her and buys her book. Not only did I feel like she displayed so much hope for her herself, but as I was reading it and thinking how strong of a person I think Sherry is as an individual, I know that every single Franke kid displays those same characteristics of strength. And so for me, it gave me a lot of closure in knowing they are going to be okay. I know that they will have scars that they will all carry with them for their entire lives. But if they even have a little bit of the resilience that Sherry is showing, which I know for a fact that they do, it felt very hopeful knowing that they're going to be okay and that things are going to be okay for them. So as heavy as it was to read Sherry's book, it still had this very uplifting feeling to the book. And I just want to say to Sherry,
I got to tell you, with 1.39 million followers, this girl's boring as fuck. Let's go. Get to the point.
And all 6 of the Franke kids, truly how much I love you, I support you, and that I just want the absolute world for you. And I can't say that without saying the same thing to Kevin. Kevin has been a part of my life for a very long time. And Sherry was not easy on him in the book. And I feel rightfully so. I think that if you were to ask Kevin himself, I think he would feel the same way. I think, how could you not regret not standing up a little bit more? And
a little bit more? Also, the fact that you just said I still have love for Kevin. Girl.
I did make a video about that, and I still stand by that, but I want to change my tone to that a little bit, and to also tell Kevin how much I love him. It would be impossible for him not.
You love Kevin? A guy who is just like, nah, I'll just walk away from my kids. It's fine.
To have learned from the situation. All of us have. And I think he's going to do really well. And I want the very best for Kevin as well. In Sherry's book,
I want nothing but sleepless nights for Kevin. I want when Kevin is in public getting praise that he sneezes and shits himself at the same time. I want a day where every door handle that Kevin walks past gets trapped in his pocket and he gets stuck by doors. I hope that Kevin Frankie's right shoe, the sole starts to come off so it flaps as he walks. I hope that every small inconvenience happens to Kevin Frankie every moment of every fucking day.
She depicts that Ruby was not a good mom long before vlogging. And honestly, not because I'm a mad sister of what she's done. I mean, that is just such an understatement. I would also agree that I don't think Ruby has ever been a good mom. I don't think she's ever had it.
Girl, you vlogged your kids. Shut up.
In her to really be selfless. I don't think that's part of Ruby's DNA. And I think Sherry was extremely valid in her.
She's not selfish or selfless. And I also am sitting in this $1 million camper, which has been bought off of the backs of my own kids. But I am selfless. Shut the fuck up.
Her feelings towards Ruby, I share those same feelings about Ruby. It has been very easy for me to get along with my other 3 siblings. Us 4 are extremely alike. My brother, my 2 sisters, myself. We all have a lot of empathy. We have a lot of sympathy. Very sensitive towards other people's feelings. And I think Ruby tried being that same way. I think she could really see how the rest of us were. And I don't think she could ever be that way because her makeup was so different. Her brain was wired so different. And I think she tried really hard.
Yet you're all similar in the fact that you're family vloggers and put your kids front and center.
To mirror the way we were. But Ruby has always been extremely different. I've gotten the question a lot, have you learned nothing from Ruby? And the answer is no. I have learned nothing from Ruby because there is not a single shred of Ruby that I would want to be like.
Well, that tells me everything that I need to know because what they're asking you is about vlogging. Have you learned nothing? And the answer is no, you've learned nothing.
I will never learn anything from her. Which brings me to kind of an elephant in the room. At the end of Sherry's book, she does say that she believes there should be no family vlogging. She has publicly voiced that there is no such thing.
Because she's a child of family vlogging. She understands the repercussions that this has on children. But let's hear more. I'm sure you have something just so deep, so profound. I'm sure we're all going to be amazed.
Is a moral or ethical family vlogger. If I came from the way family vlogging was done in Sherry's position and from her perspective, I agree with her 100%. There is not one thing about the way 8 passengers did family vlogging that was moral or ethical. So I think Sherry is.
Tell me what I genuinely want to know. What is moral and what is ethical about making videos and making money and collecting checks when your children are at the forefront of that work? I can't go work at Costco and have my kids running fucking registers. I cannot put them at the forefront of any other job. But this one you can, and you choose to, without their proper consent.
Completely valid in her perspective. I'm coming from a complete opposite perspective. My kids have a voice. Their feelings.
Your kids have a voice, yet you still put them online and you still put them all over the place, understanding that the number 1 people who watch these videos are child predators. You put them on your thumbnails, knowing that people, including adult men, for the wrong reasons, click. Sure, Bonnie. But not me.
Have a say in what they want. They are paid, not with vacations, not with clothes or other things like that. They are employees, they get W-2s, and they have a...
Do you fucking hear yourself? My children are paid. They have W-2s. They're employees. Are you okay? You're right. You're right. And adult women. We shouldn't be sexist about this. because it's just adults in general who consume this content for the wrong reasons. Bonnie, the fact that you made this video, edited it, and then was like, yeah, I'm going to put this up. You want to talk about a moral and ethical standpoint? And then you're like, my children are employees. They get W-2s. They work. They're children.
Retirement
Bye, Miranda.
is growing in the stock market as we speak. And when they turn 18, my name will not be on their accounts. Concept of us continuing to do family vlogging after sharing.
And that's the thing. They can have a say. And my daughter, when I do stuff around the house, she's like, can I be on video? No. No. Because I don't know who's consuming this content. And I don't need you out there because, you know, for these people to see. Also, now that AI exists, AI can't make its own face. Takes the faces of other people, including children, to do sick shit with it. Right. Bonnie be doing mental Olympics. Right. They're probably employed as actors. I understand that too, but they're employed. And she's like, there's a moral and ethical standpoint. These kids are working. And they don't know there's a blurred line between being at home and being with your family and then having everything that you do put on the internet. And that's why these situations are so sticky. It would be different if somebody ran a vlog channel and like their kids were in and out of it every once in a while. Like if you're a mommy vlogger and you're like, oh, a day in my life, but then like maybe your kid shows up while you're cooking or whatever. But the people like this who put up content that specifically surrounds the kids, that, you know, they're getting their first periods, buying their first bras, going on their first dates, having their first kiss, toilet training, whatever, their most private moments, so that you can get clicks and views, is fucking gross. Her point is that actor kids are not in charge of their own money because they are subject to their agents or parents. So for vloggers, it's kind of like a workaround in order to enslave your kid for this kind of content. That's a great point. But, however, there is what is his name? The Coogan Law. There is a Coogan Law because there was a kid who his parents stole all his money. So in actors, or for children who are actors, there's a certain amount that has to be put away. Vloggers don't have the Coogan Law. They don't have times, you know, and I went over this in my Piper Raquel video of all the standards that child actors have to have on set. Child vloggers do not have to have that. They could be vlogging at 3 a.m. They could be vlogging at 7 a.m. They don't have to go to school. Like, yeah, Jackie Coogan. It is very dangerous. And that's what they need, is they need regulations on family vlogging.
Has made her stance about not believing in family bloggers is not one that we took lightly. It was not something that we brushed off of our shoulders. The first time she made that statement, we sat down as a family. Well, first Joel and I sat down together and we really thought, is what we're doing wrong? Is what we're doing okay? And we really had this conversation between the two of us. And then we took it to our kids and we said, what would you guys think if we stopped showing you? You know, what if we kept filming and we just didn't show you? And
the recording was not investigated at the time and was put in storage. It's not on X. Interesting. Funny how these people don't understand rights to privacy until they themselves want exactly. She had just said in another video, like, I want my privacy. Okay. Whether it is a scandal, intimate, right. Absolutely. These children are basically enslaved by their parents. It is a weird legal workaround that bypasses the idea that your children are not inherently your property. Right. Sorry. Hold on.
This conversation between the two of us. And then we took it to our kids and we said, what would you guys think if we stopped showing you? You know, what if we kept filming and we just didn't show you? And it hurt their feelings. And they said, well, why would you do it without us? And it made them feel insignificant. It made them feel not a part of what we were doing. And you can make the argument, they don't have informed consent. Well, what is consent for a child?
Nothing. I fucking hate what I do. Nothing is informed. Nothing is consent for a child. That's why they have guardians. That's why they have parents. God, for somebody to be so rich and so dumb at the same time. Oh my God, it makes me so upset. My child would be so upset if she couldn't be in this video. Yeah, well, my child would be so upset if she couldn't go in our pool without floaties. But guess what? She doesn't know how to fucking swim. Okay? She thinks she does, but she doesn't, which is why she has to wear the proper equipment and a parent has to be in the pool for her fucking safety. It goes for everything. It goes for the internet. It goes for when it's cold outside. It could be 40 degrees outside and my daughter's like, I'm not wearing a coat. The fuck? Yes, you are. You know why? Because I'm the grown-up and I know better than you do. Although I do have to say that a lot of times I make decisions, I teach my life. I teach my daughter that life is all about choices, and I'll let her walk halfway to school with no coat on, and then she'll turn around and I'll be like, "Oh, did you need this?" And it's her coat because I know she needs it because I'm the parent. There is no consent for children. You, as the adult, are supposed to be making the proper and safest choice for your kids. It's the same thing when you get in a car. I don't want to wear my seatbelt. It's uncomfortable. Too fucking bad. I don't want to get rammed at a stoplight and have you fucking cannonball out my windshield. But see, this is the difference between you and I, Bonnie, is I can see outside myself. And you can't see outside this $1 million fucking camper, can you? God damn. It's unfair and unkind not to show them. Is it unfair and unkind to the predators who watch these channels to not give them the content of your children? And what happens when your kids turn 18 and then they decide they're like, you know what? I didn't actually want to be a vlogger. I want to be a lawyer. And then they go to a law firm, they go to law school, they do all these things. And then these lawyers are, hold on. I can watch all of your fucking puberty videos online. I don't want that associated with my law firm. Did you ever think about how this affects them in the future? Did you ever think that maybe they won't have successful YouTube channels like you, Bonnie? Which yours wouldn't be as successful as it is if you didn't put your kids at the forefront of your content. I will say it 10 toes down. I will say it with my full fucking chest. If you are putting your children at the forefront of your videos, it's because you have no talent. Right. Pretty much if you let kids do what they want, it's an endless diet of hot dogs and Kraft macaroni and cheese. Exactly. Be a fucking parent. Well, I want to be online to 1.3 million people. I wouldn't let 1.3, I wouldn't let 10 fucking strangers in my house. Into my home. And you have to think about that. Think about it, Bonnie. Would you let 1.39 million people into your home? Into your home. Would you let them in? Would you let them have access to your kids? No, but because it's behind the internet, then you allow them to have access to your kids? What is wrong with you? God. Lord, why did you give me a brain? I feel like if I was dumber, I would have more money. Of course you didn't think about their future. She thinks of them merely as an instrument of her fame and her comfort.
A child can't even go in for a well check without parental consent.
Yeah! This only gets worse! God, this fucking video only gets worse.
They can't be enrolled in school without the parental consent. And so their consent is me.
Bonnie, it's almost like you took the fucking words right out of my mouth. Their consent is you. Which is why you need to step outside your fucking RV, okay? Your Dolly Parton tour bus and your rich house and your we got a walkway, okay? You need to step outside all of that and figure out how and why this could possibly be bad for your kids.
I am their consent. And the informed part comes and weighs on my shoulders. And if you're looking at family vlogging from my children's perspective, it's apples and oranges compared to the 8 passengers. I think
from their perspective. Okay. Let's put their perspective into parents, okay? You have one parent who is trying to do their best for the child, tries to hold consistency, tries to have discipline, tries to have structure for a child's life. Okay, let's say that's me. And let's say my husband doesn't give a fuck about anything. He's like, go swimming without floaties. Don't wear your seatbelt. Have all this fucking candy. Get diabetes. This is great. Guess who my child as a 6-year-old is going to love? Okay? Bonnie, every point you're making sucks. She's not informed, guys. God.
I think that what Sherry is doing is right for her. But we are living 2 night and day different lives. And even after I finished reading Sherry's book in the car, I just bawled for so many layered reasons. And I asked the kids, I said, you know, I just want to address this again with you. If there is,
you know, I mean, address it with your kids, fine, but maybe sit down and address it with Sherry, somebody who went through it firsthand.
Ever a point that you don't want to do this, we're done. If there is ever a point that you don't want to talk about something, we are done. And it's a consensus as a family. We decide together.
Right. And I'm sure that there's absolutely no guilt in there. I'm sure you just so freely let them just make decisions about what they talk about and what they don't talk about. These families are heavily rooted in Mormonism. And as somebody who came from Catholicism, girl, there's a way to get things done without saying a word. It's religious guilt. Okay?
Whether we continue to do what we love doing or not. And that is a hard thing.
I bet there's, well, do you guys like going on these trips? Do you like buying all these clothes? Do you like this fancy house that we have? Maybe you should think about that. Thank you. If there's ever a time where my daughter doesn't want to talk about her period, that's fine. But until then, I'm filming it. Thanks. Oh, God.
A hard thing because my family truly wants one thing. And then there's Sherry and her feelings. And I don't want to hurt either. I do believe that we can share a mutual respect for each other and have differences of opinions. As Sherry and I both have made it clear, Ruby was who she was long before vlogging came. Vlogging did not make Ruby a child abuser. Family vlogging did not make Ruby a criminal. Ruby did that.
Family vlogging and putting your children at the forefront of content for strangers is terrible parenting. And I mean, I know I'm being over the top and I'm being funny and I'm yelling, blah, 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 whatever. But I mean, let's break this down. If you truly wouldn't let 10 strangers in your house to watch your daughter get ready for homecoming, why would you allow that on the internet?
Ruby did that. There are corrupt doctors. That doesn't mean all doctors have to go away. There are corrupt.
Bro. Are you comparing family vlogging to being a medical professional?
Cops and lawyers and CPS workers and CPAs and restaurant owners. That doesn't mean those careers need to be gone. Do I think there should be laws put in place to protect children and their wages and overworking them? Sure. Absolutely. In family vlogging only? No, but across the board, children have worked for family businesses for as long as time. And sure, if they're...
Yeah, as long as time, and they had to put regulations on it. Kids could work in factories at 11. It doesn't make it right. You're talking about 7-year-olds that are employees. If a 16-year-old wants to go out and get a job, that's one thing. But we're not talking about 16-year-olds. We're talking about babies. We're talking about toddlers. We're talking about children, preteens, and teens.
There is a lack of protection around kids in that area. Great, go for that. Do I think the answer to what happened to the 8 passengers is taking away family vlogging from everybody? I don't think so. Does that change my love and affection for Kevin and his children? No.
For Kevin. Because this was only Ruby's fault.
The word generational trauma keeps getting thrown around, and what made Ruby...
Girl, you better stretch. You better stretch, because the reach on this is just, you're going to throw out your back, girl. You're going to throw out delete this. Of all the videos that you should delete this one. That's for fucking sure.
The way she is, or was this passed down? Where did she learn this behavior from? I had to chuckle in her book when she said that our life revolved around scripture study. And it only makes me laugh because we were not this overly religious family. I would say we were extremely well balanced, but Ruby was not well balanced. Ruby put a lot on her shoulders, all on her own. It was not preached to us to have as many babies as you could, as young as you could. Ruby had that idea in her mind, because that's not how I felt. As a family, we didn't start reading the scriptures really, from what I can remember. Maybe we did.
Yeah, that's what's called a religious psychosis. Like,
when I was young, but it wasn't this hard, fast thing. I remember once I hit junior high and high school, we made an effort during the school year to wake up before school started, and we would read a couple chapters, and then we went on our way.
Ugh.
Ruby stayed up at night. She studied the scriptures. She took all the AP classes. She really put all this on herself, because I wasn't like that. My sisters weren't like that. My brother wasn't like that. My parents weren't like that. So did our lives revolve around scripture study? No. Ruby's possibly. Growing up, something that was never violated was our privacy. We never once were threatened with the doors being taken off.
One thing that was never threatened when I was a child was our privacy. You threaten your children's privacy every time you turn on that camera. You do understand that, right?
We weren't threatened by having our beds taken away. I don't know where these ideas came in for Ruby. I always felt extremely respected by my parents. If I had a concern, I brought it to my parents, and we were very much normal. I remember having screaming matches with my parents. I'd scream at them, they'd scream at me, and in the end, they tried hearing what I had to say. I tried hearing what they had to say. It just felt very normal. I don't ever remember being told, you don't get respect until you get older. I think a lot of these things are isolated with Ruby. There was no abuse. I always felt loved. I always knew my parents loved me more than they disciplined me. So when the word generations of abuse gets thrown around, I do not know what that references. And I honestly think that by their fruits ye shall know them. When I look at my kids, they are happy, they are healthy, they are thriving. And when I look at my parents' kids, with the exception of Ruby, we are happy, we are healthy, we are thriving. This is the worst period in our lives, and I don't think any of us have come out unscathed and unchanged. My brain has been completely altered. I don't think anyone involved. And by involved, it can be being a sibling, being an aunt, down to being just a viewer on the internet of this story, and not be unchanged and not question how you do things. There isn't an aspect of my life that I have not really looked into and done self-reflection and all of these things. I wish I had a resolve. I wish I could sit here and say things are so much better now, we're so much happier now. And that's just not the case.
But we're not, because this ruins my career online as a family vlogger. Oh, bummer.
Definitely have hope for the future. I don't know if it's weird to say that my heart is super full, because there's so much tragedy and there's a lot of loss. But I do want to say thank you to Sherry for showing hope for the future. When I see Sherry being happy, seeing that she's engaged, I think that it gives me permission to be happy and to move forward and to know that there are there's a lifetime ahead of us. And again, I just want the Frankies to know how much I truly love them and think about them. And I hope nothing but the best for all of you.
Fancy Feast Gems.
Okay. Oh, barf. All right. So I'm going to see if we can watch. Let me see if I can pull this one up. There are a lot of ads today. What is happening, my guys? Who's Brian Schaefer? All right, let's see. Yeah, there's nothing entertaining, and I won't watch it just because her kids are in it, but there is really nothing entertaining about that. But let's talk. I just want to say this, though. When she talks about kids working for the family business, okay? How old is this child right here? Working for a family business. Is he 6? Ugh. Okay. Anyways. All right. So here is. Whoa. All right. We're going to watch this gentleman. I haven't seen his videos before. Who is this? Ah! Stop it. The Dad Challenge podcast, 311,000 subscribers. Let's watch.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Dad Challenge podcast.
Oh, my gosh. There's no way he's 6. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. All right, so here's the Dad Challenge podcast. He's going to be breaking this down. Let's see.
Yes, my name's Josh. Thanks for joining me today. Hope you're doing well. My allergies are just exploding right now.
Me too,
Today,
bro.
we're going to update you on the 8-passenger thing. 2 of the sisters have spoken out, and we're going to talk about an article written about Jodi and Ruby in prison. Lots of stuff going on, so let's take a look at it and get into it.
I don't need... Well, oh, my God. All right.
Look at their content. They are child exploiters. I don't think they get a free pass because they didn't commit the crime. And I'm not saying they committed the crime. I'm just saying they have a different responsibility than the rest of the world to help take care of these kids. And they knew about it for 3 years, admittedly, on Bonnie's post. They all posted that same post, by the way. So they knew this for 3 years and let it get to this level. Now, I say that not very lightly because I know that they don't really have a say in how it goes. But they do have the ability to do more. I'm just saying you got to do more. That's all I'm saying. Okay?
Who's Josh? Is this Josh? Oh, yeah, because he said, hi, Josh. Okay, wait, never mind. I'm dumb.
Anyway, let's watch this shit show of a video because I'm sure it's going to be great. How many times does she say I?
Come back and move.
Yeah, my siblings and I worked for the family business, but it was absolutely child abuse and we never got paid. Yeah, these people trying to make this a point is insane to me. Insane. All right, let's see. Oh, boy.
Very impossible video to.
The sound on this, holy shit.
Why do they do it in echo chambers?
We just said the same thing. Okay.
You know what she's doing this from? And I know I'm a little snarky right now. She's doing this from her mansion that they're building, okay? Because she needed a white wall somewhere. So she's literally in their empty mansion that they're building doing this video. The irony is not the irony is completely lost on her.
Right.
It's mind-blowing, these people, how dumb they are.
The video that she made off the backs of her kids.
I know that my words will
Dude, she looks like she's being held hostage.
be used against me. I also know.
So don't use your words. Don't put the video out. See, they can't help themselves. She knows that this is going to be, I'm going to talk about this. A lot of people are going to talk about this. And yet she cannot help herself. Her lawyer probably said, don't do anything. The judge is probably like, don't say anything. Everybody's like, don't say anything. Just shut your mouth. This is a legal situation at this point. Shut your mouth. But they can't help themselves. Is this video monetized? Let me take a look. By the way, 281,000 views on this video. That's crazy. According to isthischannelmonetized.com, is monetized and has generated $845,000 or $845, which is probably a little more than that. Now, YouTube will put ads on videos even if you don't want them to, but you can say no to monetization. YouTube will still monetize it and you won't make it.
But why when it's going to get the clicks and the views, girl? Why? She knows Ruby Frankie's going to pull in the clicks and the views.
any money. But she monetized this video. So people were wondering if she did. She did. 285,000 views, that's big, considering she's not daily posting anymore or posting her regular schedule. So she's got to make up for it somehow. And again, this is why they can't help themselves. If you allow yourself to get booted out of the algorithm because you're not posting regular content, that's dangerous for your money. So these people still are all about the cash. The cash is king here.
Yep. The crazy thing about having the right to remain silent is how few people exercise it, including me.
My words may help people understand me a little.
Yeah, because we really need to understand you a little. That's what this is all about.
I can only speak.
I really like this gentleman. I'm going to have to watch some more of his. You know what? We'll subscribe. We'll watch some more.
For myself, and I will only be speaking for myself, other than the judge has asked us not.
This video is, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it through the whole thing.
To speak on certain topics that I will not be touching on.
But I got to do other topics because I got to do a video because I have to capitalize on this. She's capitalizing on this, everybody. And I know some people, if you go to the Reddit for threads and stuff like that, people are like, go Bonnie. Everybody completely seems to be conveniently ignoring that she's a child exploiter, that she is as strict as Ruby is. She's not as bad, but is pretty bad. If she treats her children the way Ruby treated her children before connections, and I'm pretty sure she does, that's pretty bad. We all called Ruby out for that stuff. Do you think Bonnie is free from that? You think that's, I think she's more strict than Ruby. So I don't like this whole, no, she came out and she
I don't know anything about her
Yas
content.
queen. You don't get the Yas queen here, lady. You are a child exploiter.
Yes, queen.
The end. People need to wake up and open their freaking eyeballs.
What my family and I have gone through the last couple of weeks is the worst thing that has ever happened.
What has happened to me? What has happened to me? Now, what happened to these kids? I can't imagine what's happened to these kids. What has happened to me is the worst.
To us.
Mm-hmm.
It is, I spent the first week in complete shock where I felt my body and my mind and my emotions were completely paralyzed because of the just absolute shock.
Now she says absolute shock, and okay, and I
don't want to take up too much of his commentary. If you guys want to go watch it, go watch his video. I'll link it down in the description box down below. I want to just watch Bonnie say some dumb stuff.
like have that opinion, but I do.
Of all of this, the more I learn, my feelings are turning more to anger. I am.
Were any of these people employed in a mandatory reporting type job that would include any government employer, any teacher at any level? Ruby was a teacher, I believe. Ruby Franke was a teacher, yes.
Mad. Mm-hmm. I am mad.
Wow, welcome to the show. We're all mad. We've been mad at that yourself.
Yeah, I'm mad.
I feel like
But she's not mad at Kevin. Ain't nobody mad at Kevin.
It makes me tremble. It makes me tremble because it is unheard of.
Why do you feel yourself?
I'm sorry. This guy's video is great. Josh, if you ever see this, your video, wonderful. This is making my ears bleed. I can't. I can't. Holy fly. Yeah, I can't do it. I cannot do it. That sound. Oh my God. Okay, the next thing that I want to watch, since we're on a Franke kick, is there's a video of Kevin and Chad reacting. Let's see, Kevin and Chad interview. Here they are. All right, so we'll watch this. Woo.
What words do I live by? Through hardships to the...
All right, we'll watch this instead. No, I will not tolerate any negative words about Chad Franke either. That won't be happening. He is a victim in all of this. Kevin, hashtag Kevin sucks. Oh, Chad Franke went on a podcast. I'd love to listen to that. All right. So this is Kevin, and this is Chad. Chad is, I believe, 20 now, in his 20s.
Isn't something that you can just put easy and clean labels on. It's a very complex story.
I just had a 12-year-old boy show up here at my front door. He's got duct taped around each ankle. He's obviously covered in wounds.
Ms. Franke, how do you plead to count 1, child abuse,
Guilty.
to count 3, child abuse?
With my deepest regret and sorrow for my family and my children. Guilty.
A lot of the physical violence that was described was hidden and kept from me. I didn't even know.
Okay. A lot of it was hidden from me. They told you to leave. She told you, she's like, get out of the house. You can't contact the children and you can't contact me. And you literally said, okay. You know what? I saw this. And I watched the mother's testimony. I just happened to come across a video from inside of that gym. It was disgusting. But he's like, it was hidden from me. You decided not to be present.
That those things happen. And I think Ruby was...
And also, yeah, it was hidden from me.
Was hidden and kept from me.
So this part right here... This part right here, where she covers her mouth and shoves her off the table, Kevin is holding the camera in this moment. And he goes, haha, edit, cut.
Things happen. And I think Ruby was really careful to hide a lot of that from me. As far as the things like sleeping on a beanbag, removing Chad from sports teams and things, all of those directives came from Jodi, the licensed mental health counselor. I definitely voiced my opposition and concern, and it was always flipped back onto me of saying, well, you know, this is why your children are disobedient. This is why you're having problems with your children, because you just enable them all the time. You're the problem, Kevin.
When you work with a licensed therapist who is giving you advice, and you know you've trusted her for 5 years, and you know, at first it was great advice, and you know I felt like she did a really good job with me. But you know, when you build a relationship for 5 years, and when it gets to the point where your mom also trusts her more than she trusts her husband. For my dad,
I have to tell you, you know, when you say the father was weak, the way I would diabolically laugh in my husband's face if he's like, you need to move out and you can't talk to these kids or me. You? Maybe. My kids? Not an ice cream cone's chance in hell. It ain't happening.
I understand that, you know, in order to get his family back and to not run into problems with my mom and our therapist, you know, he had to obey her rules and follow each step.
I think it's relatively easy for somebody out there who's, you know, armchairing this and looking at this experience going, well, why didn't he just do that? I would have done that. If, you know, it was day number 1 and Jodi came to me and said, yeah, you know, you're selfish. You need to go into separation and repent.
But going into separation is different than just completely walking away from your children. You have a responsibility, not only as a husband. Separately from that, you have a responsibility as a father, as a parent for your children, separate from Ruby.
I would have told her to take a hike.
Yeah.
I would have been like, you're crazy. And I did. I did say that in the first time I was introduced to Jodi's program. But you have to remember, and these individuals have to remember, that this was now, you know, I was 2.5 years in this program now, and Jodi doesn't start from day one saying stuff like that. She gets her hooks into you and slowly begins to indoctrinate you and condition you to believe things about yourself.
Also, with this interview and the way that he's speaking, it kind of puts it in a light that Ruby wasn't also a part of this.
And to willingly give power to other people because you come to believe that you yourself aren't capable of making good decisions. When that was suggested to me after all of that indoctrinating and conditioning, at the time, it seemed like, oh, you're right. Okay. But, you know, again, I understand for somebody who wasn't in it that it would seem strange. There was that coercion and flipping it back onto me, the gaslighting, that I was like, okay, well.
Somebody called you and told you that your kids were at home alone for days. You still chose not to answer the phone. Sherry reached out to you. You still chose not to answer the phone.
Maybe I am wrong. Maybe this is the right way to parent. But I know that there's a lot of sentiment out there.
Also, I'm going to tell you, and here's the thing. I am not going to take parenting advice from somebody who has two estranged children of her own. Jodi has kids that refuse to speak to her.
And you know, I think I want to address this very directly and very clearly. One of the things that I've been so upset about with the popular...
God, that's my microphone. Oh, people that can't take accountability really piss me off. I just can't with this. It's like, well, maybe,
His narrative of this experience is how they've collapsed the timeline, and they've taken the events of 2023, which were criminal, which were atrocious and horrific.
And okay, let's go back to before Jodi Hildebrandt even existed, and there were things on children or on vlogging with your children that you allowed to happen, that you held the camera for. Just nothing? You're not going to take any accountability for anything that you had to do in the hand of all of this before Jodi showed up?
And they've just smashed them all the way back into previous years and extrapolated and assumed that those types of criminal activities were occurring years before.
Years before Jodi showed up, your wife was telling your kids that they didn't need, if they didn't pack their own lunches, that they weren't getting lunches at school. And she hoped that nobody would reach out and feed her 6-year-old daughter. And you can't tell me that she only did that one time. That's a way that she punishes her children with food. She punishes her children with sleep. She punishes her children with taking away their beds. And you were also a part of it at that time before, well, Jodi showed up for the bed thing, but before that.
Jodi entered our family, and that's just simply not true. The criminal physical stuff happened after Jodi came into the picture.
But here's the thing, just because it's criminal doesn't mean that it's not abuse. And abuse happened in that home, which is why people called for a petition to take down 8 passengers. And you literally came out and you were like, yeah, we're not taking 8 passengers. You did. You didn't self-reflect and be like, is what I'm doing wrong?
And the severe and the strict consequences and outcomes came after Jodi came into the picture. Ruby herself, though, was throughout our marriage, she took a very strict stance when it came to parenting.
Right. Yeah.
And I think
like withholding food from your children. You don't punish children with necessities.
Learned a lot.
You were also on that strictness, or you were just like, you know what? One of 2 things is happening, Kevin. Either you're in on it, or you decided to have 8 children or 6 children and contribute nothing. Which one is it? because it can't be both.
A lot of that from her own parents and her own family. The rules, the boundaries of the separation were completely defined
Absolutely.
by my former wife, Ruby, and by Jodi. What made it difficult was, they could cross the boundary anytime they wanted to, and that was okay. That was, quote unquote, in truth. But if I were to seek, even attempt to cross that boundary, that was an evidence
What boundary?
that I was being selfish, that I was unsafe.
What boundary? You put up 0 boundaries. What boundary? What is he talking about? Did I miss something?
My former wife, Ruby, and by Jodi. What made it difficult was, they could cross the boundary anytime they wanted to, and that was okay. That was, quote unquote, in truth. But if I were to seek, even attempt to cross that boundary, that was an evidence that I was being selfish, that I was unsafe, and that likely my marriage would have ended. Well, Ruby had a few...
If my spouse is treating my children in a way that I felt I needed to speak up and then couldn't, and he's like, well, it would have ended my marriage. Let the bridges we burn light the way. I will burn this motherfucker to the ground. And that's the thing. You had no desire to protect your children. So it was able to get to a point like this. Yes, he has always given more of a shit about his marriage than he ever has about his children, in my personal opinion. It was always about Ruby and what Ruby wanted. And it didn't matter who was collateral damage, including his kids.
Communications with me. I don't recall anymore the exact number of times, but it was always around logistics. Some neighbors and things, right, and early on in the separation would reach out when they started to realize, like, whoa, like, what are you doing? As I'm sure Chad can share his perspective as well. We were both really indoctrinated that we needed complete isolation in order to heal. And that if we were interacting with anybody that was contrary.
The fact that he puts himself in the same bucket as Chad is, sir, you are an adult. You have an obligation to these kids, to your kids. You are not the victim here.
To the messaging that Jodi, the other men in Connections, and Ruby wanted us to accept and ingest, then we were being selfish.
I was also required to move out of the house and never contact my siblings, never...
And whatever, if Chad does it, that's his parents telling him to do that. I understand that and why he would do that. And he's a child in this situation. And for Kevin to even put himself in the same vicinity as Chad and what Chad went through is so unbelievably gross. Kevin is not and never will be a victim.
Go back home. So it's funny because a couple people did reach out. A neighbor saw me riding my bike to school and to work, and she felt so bad because
he does have a 1,000-yard stare. I'm curious as to how he feels about it now. This was 8 months ago, so I'm curious, as time goes on, how that healing process works.
She realized I was a minor. I was 17, out living on my own, and so she offered to buy me a car.
That's the thing, right? They put him in isolation. He's 17, out living on his own. And even then, Kevin, you're not like, you know what, I need to step in here. Nope, you're just like, well, this is what Ruby says, so I'll just do what Ruby does.
I really wanted to take that up, but Jodi, who's my therapist and I trusted and loved, at that point, she wanted me to live a very physical, straining and mental straining life while I was out there. That was her mindset when it came to repentance and changing is put yourself through as much pain as possible. So, yeah, that was a really hard year physically and emotionally, not being able to have any family for that long and no contact at all. And
that right there, what Chad just expressed, is the common theme in these separations that Jodi recommends.
I know this is edited, so I don't know if this happened, but I would have loved for Kevin to like put his hand on Chad and be like, I'm so sorry that you experienced that. I'm so sorry you felt that. I'm so sorry. And he's like, nope, this is what we went through.
And that she would tell us to do as her treatment. She insisted that we subject ourselves to pain and discomfort, and in pain and discomfort would be what would...
You know when I have pain and discomfort? When my children have pain and discomfort. As a parent, when they are experiencing things that I would love to just take away from them, that is pain and discomfort. To know that Sherry was kicked out of the house, to know that Chad was kicked out of the house, to know that my children are still inside would cause me, and they're being left home alone to fend for themselves, would cause me pain and discomfort.
Change us, what would make us stronger. This documentary is an excellent project that will give people...
It should have been the fall of the Franke family. The fact that they named this devil in the family Ruby Franke? No. No.
A much closer view of the real story. But even the documentary can only cover so much in 3 episodes. There's much more that I hope to share in the future.
Like an apology?
And help people understand about this experience. A lot of people will look at me and say, how could he ever do that? I would never do that. But, you know, for those who respectfully ask me about that and say, you know, how could you? My response...
You know what? And I got to say, like, let's give him the benefit of the doubt, right? He's coercive control. He's brainwashed, whatever the case is. You still called Ruby and gave her benefit of the doubt after you heard and saw the condition that your children were in and heard about the things that happened to them by the hands of Ruby.
To that is, well, who do you love more than anybody? And sometimes
my children.
Sometimes it's a child, sometimes it's a spouse, they say, and I say, well, what would happen if that individual that you love more than anybody started to go a different way?
Absolutely.
And was inviting you and encouraging you? Would you just easily be able to let them go, easily be able to say, you're out of my life, goodbye?
Kevin. It's so interesting the way they paint these things. Would you be able to let them go and say goodbye? If my husband was doing something to the detriment of my children, yes. Yes. Because in that situation, we are both adults.
And that really gets people thinking. And so, you know, I want people to really think about that. Another thing that I hope people think about.
Critical. So he admits the hierarchy of his care. Exactly. These people talk long enough, they tell on themselves, honestly.
After watching this is the role that social media and the internet plays in our lives today, and how it really...
Social media and the internet plays in our lives today. Sir, you made a multi-million-dollar channel of social media and you allowed it to play a vicious role in your family. It's tough though. I loved and hated my father, a violent wife beater. I got to tell you, I have 2 parents you know, I don't speak to either one of them. And there is a lot of, it's very hard. It's very hard. But you're also making this statement from the perspective of a child. You're not making the statement from the perspective of a peer, of somebody who's the same as you. Child to parent love is always unconditional. A child is obsessed with their parent. Their parent is perfect. Their parent is their everything. So, and the parent needs to understand that. And the parent also needs to understand how fragile that is. And I completely understand when it's like, oh, would you tell them to go away? No. I had a very, very, very tumultuous relationship with my mother for the longest time. And then I had kids. And then that relationship came at the detriment of my children one time. And that was it. And that's the difference, because children will allow this abuse to happen because they think maybe my parent will change, or maybe they'll love me more if. And you have to be aware of the power that you hold. Yes, thank you, Alexia. Let's not forget that he tried to have Sherry arrested. Sherry took the computer so she could leak abusive content. Once he saw that shit was coming out into the world, he immediately folded into victimhood, and he tried to have her arrested for breaking and entering, I believe. I could not stay 1 second to someone who hurt my kids. Also, I would be damn sure my kids were coming with me. Absolutely. Absolutely. This is insanity. And then, you know, you have no idea how social, you know, media plays into all this. Social media, turn off the fucking phone. Go touch some grass.
Spread it like wildfire, the truths and the falsities of it. The dangers that can come when you place yourself or your family or your children into the public spotlight on social media. There's a lot of incentives out there today to do that, but
the dangers that come when you put your children into the spotlight of social media.
You know, I hope that people really stop and recognize, is this really what's best for my kids? Not just financially, but emotionally.
Like Bonnie, your sister-in-law, who's like, I love Kevin Franke.
And psychologically. The things that you see that are concerning in the documentary, such as the sternness, the yelling at the kids to get them to comply, and the filming and those kinds of things. I think a lot of people that aren't familiar with family content creation would look at that and go, that's horrible.
You also were like, you don't want to do this? You don't want to do this? You don't want to go to Disney? You were right there, Kevin. You were holding the camera.
That's abusive, and it is abusive. But what I want people to understand is...
It is abusive, but... No, it is abusive, period. Full stop. Right there. Right there. It is abusive. It is abusive, but shut up.
That was not unique to our family. I don't...
So what? So... Oh, my God. Well, I went to a store and I stole and I got arrested. I don't understand why everybody's mad at me. That's not unique behavior to me. I physically assault my children because they're bad. But you shouldn't be upset because that's not unique behavior to me. You need to understand that, yes, I did this really shitty thing, but you can't be mad because that's not unique to me.
I don't know a single family content creator that did not have interactions like that with their children.
Yeah, and I can testify the same. I mean, we would go on, big YouTube trips, and there would be so many family vloggers there with so many kids and cameras out, and you know, the stuff that my mom did behind the scenes, like, you know, yelling.
Just because there is more than one person doing it does not make it right. And that's the full point of it with family vlogging. I don't expect Chad to understand this. Again, Chad is a victim. Chad is a child in this situation. But just because, you know, and for him, right, as a child to see all these other people, he's probably like, oh, this is just how this works. For Kevin, for him to be like, well, other people are doing it.
Or get back in place or say that again, or, you know, the sternness, that wasn't just my mom as well. I mean, a lot of, you know, vloggers and parents who are putting their kids on camera, they
Right.
act
And these kids are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 12, whatever. Or as Bonnie would say, they're employees. They get W-2s.
exact same. You know, they want their kids to repeat something. They want their kids to act a certain way. They want them in a certain spot.
This is a great question.
And, you know, since they're their kids, you know.
I also have to tell you that family vlogging is probably the best way to get the highest paying brand deals as well. So it's not just YouTube. Mommy vlogging and family vlogging is praised by multiple outlets.
You know, they can be a little more stern and raise their voice. So those behind the scenes that everyone is seeing, that it kind of scares them. It's not uncommon.
Fake being happy. Okay?
Fake being happy. What a monster. My God. Fake being happy. God. What a nightmare.
I don't know if I can right now.
One of the reasons we were willing to give the raw footage to the...
I'm going to go out on a ledge and say is because it made Ruby look bad.
The production team for this documentary was to get this point across. And you know, one of the biggest fears, if not the biggest fear of any family content creator on social media today is having their raw footage somehow leaked, and so that people can see what really goes on behind the camera. These individuals are wanting everyone to believe that their content is uplifting and wholesome and pure, and sure, the final product appears that way, but the making of the sausage, it's ugly.
Ever changed a tire before?
Tell me more, Kevin. Tell me more. They want it to seem uplifting. They want it to feel a certain way. You know, it's funny. One of my girlfriends had said to me when I had kids, she goes, I don't know how you're having children in this day and age. And I go, what do you mean? She's like, with social media. And I was like, why? And she's like, because everything is so perfectly curated to look a certain way. And I have to say, it is hard. There are people that I had to unfollow because I'm like, their life is perfect. I'm fucking drowning over here. And I had to get off of that, you know, that like hamster wheel of perfect parents. But it's all curated. I have to tell you, even this is curated. Makeup, hair, nice shirt. I have yoga pants on right now. Okay? I'm never properly dressed from the waist down. Sweatpants, basketball shorts, perhaps. Curated. Do not say the making of the sausage. The reason we felt we could provide selected raw footage was to absolve myself of the obvious while limiting liability to only my spouse. Yeah. Oh.
And, you know,
it's ugly.
I definitely hate the things she did. And, you know, I feel like I'm also a very lighthearted person in a sense where I would never wish someone to have a bad life, or, you know, what I really hope is that from here she becomes a better person and that she works on that and she truly tries.
You're better than me, Chad, because I hope she never finds a day of peace. Never. I hope her prison food is cold every day that she eats it. I hope that her showers are cold. I hope that her mattress is the most uncomfortable mattress in the prison. I really do.
tries to change. I have no contact with her right now, and I don't plan to anytime soon. But then again, she's still blood. She's still my mom, and maybe down the road, eventually I'll have like a conversation with her, and maybe eventually have a relationship where we can just talk. But, you know, when it comes to her actually being a mom and then eventually a grandma, I don't think I'll ever have that kind of close relationship again.
Yeah.
It's hard, of course, but I mean, when I go home, you know, I feel like, you know, no one's missing. I don't really feel like I wish mom was here. I don't really have those feelings really at all. It doesn't feel wrong not having her in my home, and that's okay. So I feel like I'm in a good spot even though she's not here.
Good for you,
The
Chad.
last letter that I received from her from prison was maybe in March or April of last year, and then I requested the Department of Corrections to ask her to stop writing me. I didn't want to hear anymore.
Just another thing you couldn't fucking do yourself, Kevin? Just another thing that you placed on to someone else. What a bitch.
I didn't like what she was saying. And I'm not going to share that, you know, that's between her and me, but it just didn't feel right, and it didn't feel good. And I'm very angry. I'm still very angry. And I need space, and I need time.
Are you angry at yourself at all?
So, I don't know, but I can't imagine being in prison is enjoyable.
Good.
Or easy. So I really can't comment beyond that. Point is that she's where she's at, and she's going to be there for a long time. And you know, I genuinely hope that she gets the help that she needs. And isn't just, you know, abandoned in some hole, because I really believe that she was damaged severely by swallowing the teachings that Jodi just was serving up for her.
What's up, Zach?
You could never convince me that she just swallowed the teachings of Jodi. There was something in there. There was a spark in there that when Jodi came along, it ignited and just fucking flew.
Feel hurt and pain and grief and sadness and sorrow when I think about what we had and what was lost. Yeah.
Again, what we had, what was lost in our marriage. How about the damage you've done to your kids, Kevin?
Do I miss those happy moments and, you know, years and years of good memories? I do. And I'm not ashamed to say that, you know, after being married over 20 years to that woman, I truly did and still do love her.
Your children were emaciated. They had wounds so bad you could see their tendons. Your daughter's head was shaved. They were beaten. They were starved. They were tied up. And you can sit here 8 months ago, and be like, I still have love for Ruby Franke. And not one time in the past 15 minutes that we've been sitting here has he said, I'm so sorry to my children, anything about the damage to his children, anything about the trauma for his children. Nothing. Just nothing.
But that doesn't excuse what she did, and it doesn't
excuse what you've done either.
Excuse how she hurt our children and
how we've hurt our children, Kevin.
How she hurt me.
Oh my God. Oh! How she hurt me. Helen. Kevin, I say this with the utmost disrespect. Shut the fuck up.
And there's some things that there's some bridges that you just can't cross and then cross back. She burned the bridges. As of today, I'm still working through the divorce. We're trying to reach a settlement. It's been a long process, well over a year, but it's ongoing. I'm still technically married, and so I'm holding off until the divorce is finalized. But I'm grateful for some friendships that I have, and I've gotten a lot of support from some friendships that I have. And when the time's right, that's something I think that I'll look forward to pursuing. As a family, we're progressing and healing.
I moved in with him like a month or two right after the arrest, and that was suggested by a couple close friends because we were separate for so long. So they thought it would be good if we reconnected by just living together again. And eventually it felt like we were roommates. So I moved out because I turned 19 and 20 and I wanted my own space. So, but yeah, it's great. We have a ton of pets now, and every Sunday we put them all together, and it's like we have a zoo.
We started our own family tradition of family dinner on Sundays, and
Sherry comes over, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. I definitely didn't think my life would be like this, especially after hearing the news about everything that happened. I didn't expect that to happen at all, but from here, where I'm at now, I feel like I expect good things out of the future, and if anything else were to happen, and what I mean is just like adversity and different challenging parts of life, I feel like I am more prepared for those to come now that I've been through something difficult.
Life right now for me is getting back into I would say a comfortable normal. There's still a lot of pain. There's still a lot of healing that I work on each day, but it just looks and feels different now. I'm moving on, and I'm going to do what's best for my children, for my family, and for myself. And that's not going to include her.
I'm curious as to who has the kids. Who has the rest of the kids that were underage? Was it Kevin that had them? Let's see. So, the custody of the Franke children. 4 minor children were taken into state protective custody under the Utah Division of Child and Family Services. 2 of the oldest children, Sherry, now in her 20s, and Chad, an adult, were already living independently. Kevin has filed for divorce and has since been granted custody of the 4 younger children. Hi, Jubilee. How are you? Not all the kids forgave the parents, I'm told. Yeah, I mean, and that's their journey to have. That's their journey. For Kevin to sit and be like, me too. I was hurt too. Me too. Kevin, you caused an extraordinary amount of damage for your kids. And not even to be a bitch. From a parent to parent, that is an extraordinary amount of damage to your children. And for you to sit here and take zero accountability, Kevin has learned nothing. Anyways, friends, you guys are the best. Hold on. Let me get some. I'm going to get some music to play me out of here. Oh my God. I am tired. You guys have been the best today. Where is it? There we go. You guys have been awesome. Today has been great. I did some member vlog content. Hold on. Sorry, headphone users. This has been a great stream. If you guys want, Here's the merch. I go live Mondays, Wednesdays, long form videos on Thursdays, shorts every other day. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please like and subscribe. It always helps. If you guys ever want a certain case, put it in the comments somewhere. Other than that, I will see you guys next time.